I liked when you did the one with Kai and Tim Washington.
Oh, and he, Tim, or
Kai was thinking, I don't know.
It was actually questions for Kai Hamilton, the Australian bull rider.
Yeah.
What's with the accent?
Yeah. So maybe that's the deal. Maybe they got me mixed up with another Stony Jones.
Yeah. But what was really funny about the questions for Kai Hamilton was whenever he, what was it? Oh, getting knocked out in Vegas.
Yes, that was a good one.
Talking about Kai Hamilton, but
did you know that?
Turns out he had actually gotten knocked out in Vegas.
Yeah, he's some crackhead.
So we have in the house Mr. Stony Jones, the one and only. What has been going on?
And actually been moving back to where I was kind of born and raised around the Ashburmont, Guthrie area.
Yeah.
Left, I was living down in Houston for a while, or close to Houston, outside of Houston, Willis, Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm getting moved back and got some country leased and getting some yearlings turned out. It's been busy.
Yeah.
Been really busy.
What we met when you were at the 4.6s at
Dixon Creek.
Dixon Creek.
Yes, sir.
But take me back to the beginning of your cowboying. And as far back as really you want to go. But like, yeah, start me off when you decided you wanted to be a cowboy, as young as that was. What did that look like?
Pretty young, I guess. I don't know that I really ever, I don't know that I had a choice, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those deals. My dad did it. His dad cowboyed some, but was mainly a mechanic, but his family all cowboyed, and he had a great uncle that taught him everything he knew. And so my dad grew up training horses and riding horses and working on some ranches, and I just that's just what I did.
Where at?
I was born in Andrews. He was working for a ranch out in Andrews. I believe that guy's name was Dan Fisher, a big steer tripper guy back in the day. And anyway, I was born there. My dad was kind of like the rest of the cowboy deal. He moved around a bunch. We moved around Abilene and Clyde area. I think the oil field was big then. He kind of worked there for a little while and rode on colts on the side. And then when I was preschool or something, we moved around Ashburmont. That was where he was raised, where my grandparents were from, and he just started kind of working for himself, riding colts, and took a few jobs here and there and day working and stuff. But man, ever since I was probably 3 or 4, I'd go with him with those colts on an older horse to lead him around, to go outside, or move him around, help him move around on them.
You were riding a gentle horse?
I was riding a gentle older horse.
Yeah.
And he would follow me around to get some rides on them. And just, like I said, I think he was kind of like me when I told my kids. I said, I don't really matter to me what you do when you get older, but this is what we do while we're here.
Right.
So we're going to ride colts and ranch and do this kind of stuff while you're here, and it'll teach you how to work and do things. And then what you do after you leave here is what you want to do. But
yeah,
I just never did want to do anything else. That's just what I wanted to do.
So so eventually did you get started riding colts?
I did.
Eventually you got big enough to ride them yourself? And
I did. Dad always had a lot of colts around. We moved out to the place that he lives now when I was probably in 5th or 6th grade, and we started, there wasn't anything there but a house, and we started building barns and pens and arenas and round pens. And again, he always had colts around there, and a lot of them were starting from scratch, but a lot of them were problem horses that people couldn't ride. My dad was a really good saddle bronc rider, and I think he rode broncs back with your dad. And
oh, really? Man, I was talking to somebody about him the other day. Golly, I can't remember who it was. Somebody brought your dad up. But was he around Lubbock area whenever he rode broncs?
Aspermont area there.
But just during that time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
During that time. And
for rodeo cowboys, Aspermont to Lubbock is close enough.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Because he probably spent some time at Charlie Thompson's.
Oh, yeah. I've heard him talk about it. And I went with him a lot whenever I was young because he would work through the week, but that's how he made his extra money on the weekends. He'd go get on 2 or 3 on the weekends and make some extra money. And he went to all the Charlie Thompsons, and he loved to go to Terry Walls and those big, thick bucking horses. He loved them. He could ride pretty much anything, anybody wanted to put on him. Ranch saddle, ranch bronc, saddle bronc.
Right.
He rode bulls and barebacks and everything when he was younger, but settled into the saddle broncs and really liked them.
I was talking to somebody, and that was like how they described him. They were like, you remember the saddle bronc rider, Monty Jones. Anyhow, that was how they started it. The description of your dad was the saddle bronc rider.
Yeah, he used to ride a bunch of them and was really, really successful at it. But I think he went pro one year. He had his card and went one year like the year I was born.
Mm-hmm.
But stayed gone so much he didn't want to, he
Right.
had me, he wanted to come home, so he went to mainly amateurs after that. But I went with him a lot doing that too. I can remember, him rolling the saddle up and then carrying it and setting me on his saddle to carry us to the pickup. So,
yeah.
I went with him everywhere. And same with when we were ranching or riding colts or whatever, I just went all the time. It didn't matter how old I was, I just went. And, but yeah, so we had a lot of problem horses too. So I learned to ride colts on stuff that most people didn't want to ride and or couldn't ride. And, I wasn't near as good at it as he was, but.
Oh, you tried to ride some saddle bronc horses?
I tried to whenever I was younger, or in high school, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I rode 30 or 40 maybe. I got to ride a few, but I never could get the timing and everything down. I always done a lot better if I had another hand down to hold on.
It's crazy how different it is than that stock saddle, isn't it?
It really is. It's
wild.
Yeah. I rode some bulls and saddle broncs in high school, and the high school rodeos and stuff. And so my dad we had a round pen there to start colts and like an 80 by 90 or something. And he put a bucking chute in it. And I told him, I said, I don't remember, I was probably 13, 14, maybe 15, I'm not sure. I said, Paul, I think I want to ride some bucking horses. He said, we'll see. So it was like, then it's like every time, just one right after the other. Anything we had around there that wanted to hump their back, or even if they didn't, we just flanked them and rode them. And
oh, dang, you'd try them all out.
Yeah, he just put me one right after the other and put a bronc halter on them and put the rein between their ears where I couldn't pick them up and just buck them. And
That's how my dad was when we were growing up. Like, we would try everything. If it acted like, there'd be some ranch geldings that if they never bucked, we wouldn't. But if they did hump up, we would try them.
Oh yeah.
And then we would also try every bull that we came across, and so I carried on that same tradition. But I've changed I got a bull from R.A. Brown once. I was like, and we were bucking when they delivered him. I was like, well, let's buck him real quick.
Yeah, see.
And I put too big a bull rider on him, and he did pull him over, and he did break a leg. Oh. The first day I had him. And so now we got a rule of thumb. We get one breeding season out of a herd bull, then we try him. Then we'll buck him.
You bet.
But
yeah, Dad was that way. When I was a kid, I can remember colts that he'd just put his bronc saddle on them if they wanted to buck, and he'd just ride them till they quit bucking just for practice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just for fun. Yeah.
You never know. Like, sometimes they'll make good practice horses.
Mm-hmm.
Those. Does it need to be closer?
I think so.
A little bit closer. You never know. There's a lot of good bucking horses that came from saddle strings.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I think Some of them would have made really good ones, but they just never went anywhere else. Everybody just tried to keep them around and, knock it out of them. But
yeah. So did he? Where did he go next? Did you graduate high school in Aspermont?
Aspermont, yes. Yeah. Yep. We stayed there after we bought that place. We stayed there. We moved around quite a bit before that, but we stayed there, and then I thought if I left home, I probably wasn't going to pick up another cutting torch or welding rod or ride any more colts if I could keep from it, because we'd about burnt me out. But I took a job. I left that summer, and I kind of was done. I just left and went on a road crew, like work pouring asphalt for the summer. And for the hottest 3 months of the year, I poured asphalt. And
where?
I thought around Lubbock, between Lubbock and Muleshoe.
Golly, I bet that was miserable.
Asphalt company in Aspermont, Lipham Construction, and a buddy of mine said they needed some more help. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm in. I don't know. I'm leaving home."
What'd they pay?
Man, it was like nearly $10 an hour then. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm in."
Right.
Because I was getting paid nothing.
Yeah, early 70s.
Yeah.
So $10 an hour goes a
close
long
to
way.
That. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I was working part-time for my granddad at that time. He had a mechanic shop in Aspermont. And my senior year, I took the work program, and I could get done by lunch. And I'd work for him from 1 to 5, and then I had a few colts to ride in the evenings for a lady. And my dad was like, "Hey, this ain't going to work. We're not getting all these colts rode at the house." I was like, "Well, those are your colts. No, not mine." I'm not getting paid for those colts. So
yeah.
But anyway, we kind of butted heads there for a little bit, and then I left home but did that, and then went to work for Mike Stewart in Monday, and took care of yearlings for him, which was, I think I had just a little over 5,000, and that was a pretty big chore for a 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But Jay Hart, Ray Bradley's dad, or stepdad, but he was working there at the time and took me in, and I didn't realize at the time it was what he was doing for me, but man, he helped me out so much.
Yeah.
The guy was
How so?
so good at yearlings and seeing things, being sick, and as far as going and doctoring, and just a lot with everything with the yearling. I mean, he showed me so much. He had, I don't know how many, which Ray grew up doing it, and but we took care of some yearlings when I was in high school, but I wasn't able to go enough. I'd go on the weekends and give them a break, but that guy was crazy. He could see them before they got sick,
Really?
Yeah, he'd just watch them, and he'd be like, "Yeah, let's pull that one, go catch them," and I'm like, "Wow, they look fine to me." He's like, "Yeah, they're getting sick. They'll be sick tomorrow if we don't hit them today."
Golly. Yeah, some guys are, I need them to have their head on the ground and some snot coming out, both ears down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I need. Maybe they're already just falling over.
Kind of on their last leg. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna doctor him.
That one's got it.
It's not so much that I didn't know they were sick. That's just the only time I can really catch them.
They don't run near as fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Or like run, sick enough to where like they'll immediately run to the tank and jump in it. Yeah. All right, now I can get a rope on them.
Yeah.
More like fishing. Yeah, there's an art to seeing when a calf is sick. And I guess maybe you just got to look at that many of them.
I think so. Just day in and day out, all year long, for years, I think.
Yeah.
Johnny Miller was another good one. I worked for him later in life, and he helped me out a bunch. But those guys could probably pick them out as good as anybody.
Yeah.
I'd been around. Yes, sir.
How long, I heard, and it was true for me, but I heard about yearlings that it's kind of like a boat. Your two happiest days you have a boat is when you buy it and then when you sell it.
Right.
And I've heard the same about yearlings.
They get long, and the first first month, I guess, or so, it's kind of the hardest. They're always getting sick or getting out, or trying to get them all together, and it's pretty.
But it seems like when they first run off the truck, you're excited. You get to do some roping.
Yeah.
And then about May comes around, about the time you're getting rid of them, June, whenever, and then that's when you're most excited. Now, all right, finally get these things out of here.
Whenever they come off the truck, if they stump their toe or sneeze or cough a little bit, I mean, you catching them, and you're catching everything, and you catch 30 or 40 a day. You love it, and wear out 2 or 3 ropes a week, and
right,
it's all fun. And then December hits, or January, and it's wet, and your rope's about that big around from mud, and they're kicking water and mud up in your face, and you're like, why do I do this?
Right.
Yeah. And then, like I said, trying to gather them to ship, and then they run over the hot wires, and you have a wreck, and you're like, I hate these things. Just get them on the truck and get them out of there. Yeah. That's exactly the way it goes.
I'm ready to get back to cows.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So how long did you do the yearling deal?
I worked for Mike for, I think, two winters there. And my father-in-law met this guy in Fort Worth, and he bought a place right outside of Mineral Wells, and was supposed to buy some cow, 200 or 300 cows, and I was going to get to ride my own horses, and the one-man deal, kind of the cowboy dream. Nobody's going to mess with me, just let me run it how I want to. And so I left Mike's and went there, and of course, about like most good deals, it was too good to be true, and we stayed a little while, and he had a big plastic cup-making factory in Fort Worth. And anyway, he's like, hey, I couldn't get these cows bought this year. I know y'all moved down here. Go to work in my factory for a little while, and once we get them bought, we'll move you back out there. I was like, all right. But it's going to cost you, and he paid me pretty good, but I think I was there about 3 or 4 days, and I laid down that night, and I told Sam, I said, I can't do this much longer.
Yeah.
I was beating the smokers outside, to be outside, because I was in the factory all day, and I hated it. I didn't like it at all. But
I don't think anybody expects you to, that's wild that you lasted 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I think we wound up being there maybe 3 or 4 months in total. And it's kind of one of them deals. I went for the cow deal, and the horse thing, but that come about, and that guy was wanting me to stay, and I'm like, no, it's not what I do, or not what I want to do. Appreciate it, but I told my father-in-law, I said, I just got married to your daughter, and I'd like to stay married to her, and I'm not seeing her very much, so neither one of us real happy, so I'm just gonna go find something else. But,
right. I'm sure he understood.
Oh yeah, he did. Moved back to Ashford then, and rode some colts, and they worked. I wasn't there about 2 days, and Cody Cochran called me. He was at Sixes at the time, and he's like, hey, we need some help over here. Would you be able to come? And I'm like, yeah, I just got a couple of horses, but yeah, I can be there. I can find a few more. And he said, well, call Mike Seago. He's running the crew. And so I called Mike, and I was like, hey, Cody said y'all need some help. Anyway, I got to help them. I think I was 19 then. Helped the Guthrie Sixes through that fall works. And whenever that was over, I'd talked to my dad. Had went to Tongue River and training horses, and they were opening up another camp over there at Scott Camp, and I'd been around. Larry Abbott was running at the time, and grew up with him and his kids, and he was like, hey, where are you going after Sixes? And I said, I don't know yet. Probably back riding some colts. And he said, you want to help us as soon as they get done, we'll start weaning. I'm like, sure. And he said, I got a camp coming open. Would you be interested? And I was like, sure. And so Mike Gibson was running sixes at the time. He was giving us all our checks and said, y'all meet back up here Saturday afternoon, Sunday. Y'all go to Dixon Creek and start there Monday. And I said, I guess everybody but me. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I've already got my stuff planned out. You didn't tell us till today that we were going up there. I'm going to Tongue River. And he's like, no, everybody goes to Dixon Creek. Not me. I like to plan my stuff out 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. I can go in 2 days. So
yeah.
And I said, I hadn't heard nothing out of you. I'd ask you when we were going to be done. And, but I don't think he understood what I meant. But anyway, it was good. Got to go to Tongue River and stay there.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
How long were you there?
I was there just almost 5 years that first time.
Oh, dang.
I made 2 tours there.
Nice.
From, I think, 99 to 04.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So when you were 19?
I went there when I was 19.
And had a camp. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Camp. Being
a camp man at 19?
It was good.
I mean, it obviously is good if you stayed 5 years.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had the camp, and then, like I said, my dad was training the horses there, so I'd go help him start colts too in the summer. But it was good. They moved a house over there for us, and we got moved in. Me and my wife were still. I think we were married maybe a year and a half, so we were still pretty new. And
how did she take to camp life?
She didn't really like it too good.
Right.
There's a few times she came, or I'd come home, and she's like, if the world ended, I probably wouldn't know about it. She wouldn't know about it. Because we didn't have cell phones and stuff then,
Right.
It was she had a bag phone that her dad had give her, but at the time we had some. I guess they did get us some phones sometime in those pickups, but it was kind of like those bag phones. But we didn't talk on the phones a lot.
Yeah,
it was kind of for emergency use only. But yeah, she didn't much like it.
Hey, Bro Tater Chip, if you like getting swole-o-matic, then get yourself some Protein on mountainops.com. Hey, or if you just like being healthy, whether you're trying to bulk up, get healthy, have energy, go to mountainops.com and use code Kevin for 20% off. Rock and roll denim is what Dale Brisby uses to spur his bucking bulls. I get the Reflex. Gives me the mobility I need to be the cowboy I am. So go to rockandrolldenim.com, old son. What would you tell a 19-year-old Stony Jones about, looking back as far as being a camp man? You probably had to learn some hard lessons that year, like just being in charge of that many cows right off the bat.
Yeah. As far as the job goes, I don't know that I'd have done well. Probably listened to the older guys more and took some better advice than just trying to get in too big a hurry and do things fast. I wanted to be a lot faster back then and go fast and be fast. And, there was a couple of older guys there that helped me or that worked with us, and that,
a regular Cole Hatfield.
I was a little bit back then. I really don't know that I want to compare myself to Cole, but no, I think I've told Cole that before, that he would probably not believe it, but I did. I wanted to go fast and be fast, and everything wasn't going fast enough for me.
Really?
So it took me a while to learn to just slow down, and that's what I think I would tell a younger me, to slow down and enjoy it more, because it does go fast, and not only enjoy your work but enjoy your family more. I was blessed to live there, and my wife was able to take care of our kids and go with us and stuff a lot, and when we were feeding. She enjoyed going, and man, that was great because I was able to take them with me while I worked. I probably worked too much and didn't stay home a whole lot, but it was a great time. I loved raising the kids like we did, and having that lifestyle.
Did you get to do a lot? I know your dad. You said your dad trained a lot of horses. Did you get to do a lot of cow work prior to that, like through high school and junior high?
I almost didn't graduate high school because I missed too many days day working.
Really? Yeah. Okay, so you were prepared for the cow side of the ranch.
I was real fortunate. There was a couple of guys there around Ashburmont that my dad. They were probably 10 years younger than my dad and about 10 years older than me, so they were right in the middle. And man, they scooped me up like I was theirs and hauled me around. And kind of the same as earlier, the oil field kind of got big, and Dad had went back into the oil field and was pumping some wells, and so I was riding colts at home, and he would get these calls to go day work, and he couldn't go, so he'd send me.
Yeah.
And those guys, I could drive the back roads and get to their house, and then they'd haul me wherever we need to go. But I for as long as I can remember, that's what I've been doing, just going and helping people all the time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if your day worked at Guthrie and then he told you to stay on for Dixon Creek, I mean, like, you're obviously carrying your weight there, and that would have been a good testament to your ability at 19 years old. Yeah. And then you go on to, so what was your 5 years like? What's something you remember about it, your first camp job? Like, when you look back on it, is it?
We were at that camp, I think, for 2 years, and then my dad left, and man, I loved it. It was, like I said, this is all I'd wanted to do. So, and my wife wasn't as thrilled, but you know, it was pretty hard. We were pretty broke and couldn't go much places or do anything really. We would load up and go to town to watch the pickup late in the evening so we could drive around and, you know, be in town for a little while.
Yeah.
In Paducah.
Right.
A big, you know, great town to be driving around in, but and we'd maybe get a little something to eat while we were in town, but we could take the ranch pickup if we were going to wash it. So
yeah.
that's how we
that's funny.
That's how we made that work. So kept a pretty clean pickup. Go to town pretty regular. But when my dad left, they offered me the horse training deal, so I moved to headquarters about 2 years in, and I was there about 2.5 years training horses for them.
Gotcha.
Doing that. And that was fun. Had a good time. Larry, the manager, then left, and Bubba Smith came in, and worked for him for a couple years there. That was really fun. Bub was always, when I went to headquarters, he went to Scott Camp, and then they moved him to Wagon Boss, and then they moved him to headquarters, or the manager. But
swapping from camp job to training horses, so I spent just a little bit of time in a round pen, and you know, I love being horseback, but I don't feel like it's quite like a boat story, but I feel like if you're trotting in circles every day, that can get a little bit. Have you wrestled with that through your life? Does it not get old to you?
It does to me.
It does?
Yeah. My dad can do it all day, every day, day
Really?
in, day out. He's one of those guys like that, you know, that the professional horse trainers are. They can lope circles all day,
Yeah.
and, you know, I can do it for a few days, and then I need to get out and go straight line a while.
Right.
And that was one good thing at Tongue River. I had the horses that I was showing and the colts I was starting, but then I went and helped them on the crew whenever.
Brand and wean.
Yeah,
and
and
pick up bulls.
whatever they needed
Yeah.
to do. Yeah, I'd go help them depending on when it was, like a certain time of year, I might ride my colts in the morning and go help them in the evening, or
You bet.
or vice versa, just depending on what they had going. But I was able to get out and straight line, and that would free me up a lot. And still to this day, I can lope circles for a few days, and then I got to get out. I got to go do something else. But
I don't know how guys do it, especially it seems like about the time you're having a good session with a horse and he's responding and doing what you want him to do. All right, now it's time to put him up and then start over. Like even every day, it's like, depending on how many you got, it can just get. The most I've ever had at one time was 5. And that blew my mind. I was just so ready to do something different. But my hat's off to those guys that can do it day in and day out.
Me too. I did it for a while, but it wears me out.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what happened after Tongue River?
My dad got in a bad horse wreck in 2004, and I moved back and helped him kind of get going or keep going.
What was the horse wreck?
He had a horse flip over on him. And,
Dang.
Broke his right leg right below his hip joint, and both bones below the knee, and ruptured his colon.
Golly.
And so they didn't find his colon ruptured for a couple of days.
Uh-oh.
And so he got septic. He almost died.
Golly.
Like really, they told me and my wife, we were sitting there talking to the doctor, and they said, if he makes it through the night, we'll figure out what to do. And I was like, what do you mean make it through the night? They're like, I mean, if he survives the night, we'll go from there in the morning. But they were packing him in ice, and his fever was through the roof. And that was one of the first times that I saw kind of a miracle from God, because I went and prayed that I didn't know what we needed to do, but he needed to jump in here.
Yeah.
And from his floor, whatever floor he was on, to the ICU floor was like three floor rides in the elevator.
Uh-huh.
And his temperature went from skyrocketing to normal when he got to the ICU.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, and he's, he made it the next day. So
yeah,
he was a long time recovering. And so I left Tongue River. I tried to just get my horses and go back there to ride his, because that's all he had was he's just riding colts still. And he was probably in his 40s then. So that's all the income they had. And so I said, went to him and asked if I could take my horses and just go ride there, or bring his horses here or something. And they're like, no, you can't ride that many horses. I got to. I mean, we're fixing to. I can either do it here or I can do it there, whichever one. They're like, well, you can't do it. So I said, okay, I guess I'm done. And they're like, this wasn't Bubba. This was higher up, but they're like, well, what do you mean you're done? I'm like, I'm loading my stuff. I'm going back. I got to go keep him going.
Yeah.
So moved back there in 2004, I think June of 2004. And we worked together for 2 or 3 years there.
Yeah.
When he got better, we went back to work. And I got, like I said, though, I'd lope colts. I don't remember. We had 15 or 20 around there to try to keep both of us floating. I had a guy help me for a little while, and then he got bucked off and broke his neck. So,
ooh.
Yeah. So then I had them all by myself. But that guy, that was kind of another crazy deal. But he was, I guess, kind of like JB's deal. If it would have been just a millimeter lower, he'd have been a
paraplegic.
But anyway, he's doing good now and everything. But yeah.
Had your dad ever worked at the Pitchfork?
No, he didn't work for any bigger ranches, really.
Okay.
He worked for some smaller ones. He did work out at Springer's, that one that neighbors Sixes.
I was just trying to remember What's the Monty that would have been at the Pitchfork when my dad was there? Anyway. I
can't think of his last name, but
I'd ask my dad, but
right.
Won't answer the dang phone. Anyhow.
Yeah.
So worked for your dad for a couple of years, and then where'd you go after that whenever he healed up?
That's when I went to work for Johnny Miller outside of Wichita Falls.
Back to Yearlings.
Yep. And he had a bunch of yearlings he had been tending to, and I went to help him, and about the time I got there, a bunch of people cut back, and it's kind of one of them deals. He lost a couple of places, and I guess the wheat was doing good, so they didn't want to graze it out anymore. And
just farm it. Dang.
Yeah.
Dang
just
farmers.
farmed it. I know it. But he takes care of Sixes had a place in Iowa Park years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They sold. And a guy had bought the farmland half of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be, I guess it'd be the north side of 287 that runs through there at Iowa Park, and that's what he takes care of. I believe that guy's name is David Kearney.
Mm.
But he's got a lot of farmland there, and Johnny takes care of that, has for years for him. And he had a few other deals on the side, and, of course, those smaller deals kind of lit out. And about the time I got there, and I was like, oh, what are we going to do now? And he's like, well, we got plenty of colts and plenty of day working. And anyway, they kind of just kept dwindling out. So I didn't work for him for about a year. And Bubba called me to go back to Tongue River. And man, it was one of the hardest decisions I'd done because I loved it over there. If you didn't rope enough at Johnny Miller's, it's your own fault.
Mm.
He's one of them guys that he didn't care. Right after I went to work for him, he had two big Mexican steers. I bet they weighed 700. That was on the neighbor's deal. And he said, hey, I spotted these two steers. You want to go get them? I'm like, yes, sir. I'm in. And so we go get them and load them. And of course, they split, and they're in with some longhorn cows. And when they split, I go after the one that went with the cows, and he turned off on this other one. And I knew that road kind of cut through there, and them cows were running. Well, there was a down power line, and them cows hung that power line, and it started ripping telephone poles over. That's the wildest thing. I just whipping, trying to stay ahead of it, and finally got that yearling cut out of them cows, and I mean, telephone poles were cracking and wires going everywhere behind me. And
like an old one or live?
Yeah, I know it's an old one.
Oh, yeah.
It was like 3 strands, but they were all about chest high on a cow or a horse, and they were just popping them. There's probably 20 cows in that herd, and they were running full blast and hitting it. And I had that yearling out on the edge and was getting him bent, but about the time they hit it, and luckily I was right by one of those poles to where it was up in the air, but then they were snapping off and coming. And I thought,
scary.
Boy, it was pretty wild. And I crossed that road and I hooked that yearling right there, and I was still kind of looking back to see, because I didn't know for sure where Johnny was. I tied that yearling down and loped back up there closer to the pickup, and he was coming back to me, and he's like, well, did you get him? I was like, yes, sir. Did you get yours? He said, nah, he got away. I was like, gosh, dang. Of course, I was still in the hurry up phase then, and I was like, my gosh, well, where's he at? Let's go get him. What are we waiting on? What he done? Gets a pickup. He's already caught his and loaded him. I mean, he's already showed me up. I thought I was doing all the kinds of good.
Yeah.
But we get those things to the house, and we go back the next afternoon. He said, we better put them yearlings on water. And we drive them up, and it's just a little bitty tub in the fence. And he's like, we throw them up there. We start throwing them up there, and he gets off and gets tight. And he said, baby, if them things don't stick their head in that water trough, get it on them. Oh, yes, sir. And so, of course, one of them kind of gets him a drink. The other one peels out and comes to us hooking. I hook him, and he gets him healed, and we stretch him out and throw him down. Get my ropes off. He said, get ready. If he don't come out there, if he don't get him a drink, he comes out there, get it on him again. So we roped him till he went and got a drink.
Dang.
That's kind of the way his deal went.
Just for fun, or did he have a reason for him?
That's what we were going to do. We were going to, no, if he'd have got a drink the first time, we'd have rode away from him. But if they don't get done what he wants to do, they're going to get caught.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they're going to get caught.
Yeah. It sounds like it sounds like a fun place to work.
Oh, it was. It was a blast. Yeah.
But ultimately you decided to get out of there.
Yeah, it's kind of one of them deals. We didn't for sure have the next year was going to be even tougher. And I didn't want to be a burden on him or anything.
Yeah.
And so we went back to Tongue River, of course, moved back in the same house. I mean, still had the same, of course, Bubba, he's kind of a goofball and smart aleck. He said, tell Sam to come down. I'll show her the house. It's a real nice house. Lived there for 2 years. Still had the same nail hose. We just hung all the pictures up in the same spot.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I think I was there a little over 4 years that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as a headquarters guy, though.
Right.
Didn't do the horse training then. Or they didn't have a horse trainer.
Didn't Bubba end up leaving there?
He did. I was there about a year, and he left to go to Dixon Creek.
Dixon Creek. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And he was there till he went back to Tongue River.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think 10 years or so. I think he went off on his own and bought some cattle and stuff for a year or so.
Yeah, I almost bought a set of cows from him. Yeah. That's right.
Then he went back.
Yep.
For sure.
Dang right. 4 years at Tongue River. What was it? Was it much different than your first stint?
No, it was good. Bub's good to work for. And he left, and I filled in there for 6 or 7 months till while he was gone.
67 months.
Yeah, it's a while. Seemed like it. And then they hired Tom Morehouse, and I worked for him for about 1.5 years or so. And then
he's an okay cowboy.
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, I don't know if you'd heard of him or not, but he's been around.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be one that would make me, like if you were what would they call, like if you were kind of filling in as a intermediate or interim manager, like he'd be one that probably wouldn't hurt your feelings, just like that he got hired over you,
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be one. It's like, well, he had an opportunity to hire Tom Morehouse. Yeah. Like, you get it. Like, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that one. Yeah. For sure. I don't think I was 24 or 5 at the time, something like that. So, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But,
what was it like working for him?
It was good. It was good. I was still kind of wanting to go fast, and Tom was more slow-paced, and he'd slowed down a lot then. I think when he was younger, he liked to go fast, but he'd slowed down quite a bit then. We'd go somewhere, and his horses would trot the slowest I ever seen anybody's horses trot. Like, a little old baby trot. And my boys were up going pretty good. They were, 6, 7, 8 years old then, and they called it the old-timey man trot. They're like, Dad, I hate this old-timey man trot.
Yeah.
I just hate it.
Yeah.
They were wanting a long trot everywhere. But, yeah, it was good. We had a good I had a lot of fun. I don't know how much fun Tom had. He told me one time that I was a pretty good cowboy, but I liked rope a little too much for him. I said, you've just been here for like 3 months. You have no idea how much I like to rope. Yeah.
What were some things he might have done different than Bubba? Or was there a lot of difference?
No, not a lot of difference.
Pretty similar styles?
Yeah, it was pretty similar. We stayed pretty busy with Tom. We wound up, doing the wagon, which we'd pulled the wagon out, but we'd kind of started hauling it around, and Tom wanted to, drag it again with the horses and stuff.
Yeah.
So we started back doing that, but no, it was.
How'd you like that?
It was okay. It wasn't bad. I was still young, but I did want to be home more, because of the kids. But when my kids could go, they went quite a bit before they got into school.
Was that your first time there at Tongue River?
Yeah,
really staying on a wagon.
The first, so when they hired Bub for the wagon boss, when I was there before, maybe in 2002, maybe they started pulling it out then, and that was kind of my first time I'd been around it much or really stayed at it. Places had pulled it out where we ate at it and things like that for day working, but really stay the full time and do the whole, team of horses with the chuck wagon and the hood wagon, and we hauled it everywhere. We didn't.
Oh, no trucks and trailers.
Mm-mm.
Dang.
So there was a cowboy and a maintenance guy named Charlie Nescourt that lived in Paducah, and he was probably 60 at that time, I bet. And he just told me he ain't staying. And so he drove a pickup back and forth and would bring medicine and ice and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's it.
Dang, I was about to ask something. It just slipped my mind. Who was the cook?
Jerry Cates. We went through a couple, but Jerry Cates was the main one. He's out of Albany, I believe. He has a mineral company also.
Is that something Tom is always? I mean, he always pulls out a wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess back in the day, Tom had a bunch of leases, and they were gone the biggest part of the year on the wagon, I believe. To hear Bub tell it, I never went with him, but.
How long did it take to go through everything at the Tongue River? Like, how long would you be out on a wagon?
A little over 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, something like that. We could work it in 2 weeks, but then when you moved every couple of days, it'd take half a day to move that wagon, and so it'd be just around 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, spring and fall. But
Gage would have been just terrible. a little fart right around then, huh?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think he was still in high school when Tom got the deal then.
Gotcha.
He helped me ride some colts and stuff there. But I think he was driving, so he 15 or 16, somewhere in there.
Yeah. I hope you're enjoying ranch fuel as you're listening to this episode of Rodeo Time. Use code DALE on ranchfuel.com for 15% off, old son. Drink up and use code DALE on ranchfuel.com. Ever since I started riding bulls and punching fools, I've been wearing an American hat because I'm an American. I actually wore a different hat before that for the longest, but then my mom got a job. So wear an American hat, old son. Otherwise, you ain't no cowboy. Yeah, I've never even been on Tongue River. I've never been over there.
It's a neat ranch. It's a good ranch. It's got a little of everything.
What's the country like?
It's like around headquarters and kind of on the east side of it. It's just kind of rolling. It gets pretty sandy, and that's what. When I was at headquarters, I took care of that back there. And there's a lot of places if it was dry, you couldn't get a pickup because it was too sandy.
It'd have to be
your best
wet.
time. Yeah, your best time to check it is after a rain.
Dang.
And you'd go 2-wheel drive, and that sand would be wet. It'd pack, and it was good. But so I trotted a bunch of that stuff and checked it most of the time because I couldn't even 4-wheel drive yet. You can get stuck back in there. But and then when you cross the main road going back, that was on the east side. When you cross the main road going west, it got pretty rough, and the ground got tighter. That South Peace River runs through it. Mm-hmm. That's pretty.
How close is it to Paducah?
I think it's 25 miles, something like that.
Gotcha.
It's 6 or 8 miles out to that highway between.
68?
Seems like it would be that far, as rough as that road is. And
sorry, I do that to everybody.
That's good. Yeah. That Highway 70 between Matador and Paducah. And then it's another 10 or 15 miles to Paducah. But I was listening to that podcast with Boss about Cody Crabtree washing.
Uh-huh.
And me and Rick Kieschnick did a deal like that. We was trotting across there going to throw some cows out or clean a trap out, and it'd come a big rain, and you could hear that water running. and we were riding some colts, and we were going to cross that thing, and I was kind of riding a leggier 3-year-old, and I'd been on that thing. I mean, just almost 10 years working out there, you know. I'd been in and off and on day working and stuff, so I'd never seen that water get over 6 or 8 inches high. It was running pretty big.
68 inches is like 5 feet.
Here we go. As it is. And
all right, last one.
Yeah. I'll try to remember that. 6 to 8 inches. And we started to cross it, and it started hitting my boots. And I thought, man, it's getting deep.
Yeah.
We're about halfway across, and I thought, well, we don't have much further. It's not. We got about the last 5 or 6 foot, and I mean, it fell off, and it's hitting over my knees. And I turned around to tell, kind of like Mark told them, don't come. And he's right on my butt, and he's riding a little 2-year-old, and it's washing over his saddle. When we hit the other side, it like that horse chests a bank. There's no rise.
It's a flat bank.
And so I just go to whooping, and I was really going to try to turn around, but he was getting all nervous and fouled up in that water, I guess. And anyway, he winds up jumping out of it. And Rick goes up there, and I mean, his little colt barely sticks his head over the top. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to catch that colt and help pull him out or something. And I start reeling out. And anyway, this colt finally washes down a little bit and jumps out. And as soon as he gets his back feet up on the bank, he bucks Rick off. Almost bucks him off back in the river. And I'm laughing too hard then to even help. That was hilarious. But so I had me one of those river stories.
That's scary.
It really is. And when that water's running as big and strong as it is, it's pretty scary.
It's scary enough when it's still, but man, the river part too, like he'd just be gone. Mm-hmm. Especially hit your head or something.
Oh,
it's over.
Yeah, if it would have, if he'd have went back in the water, me being on that cold, I don't know if I could have got close enough to rope him or anything.
Yeah.
And it was as deep as it was, he wasn't gonna. I mean, those horses were having trouble standing up with 4 legs, you know.
Yeah. Scary.
It really is when you look back.
Right. Yeah. In the moment
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
At
That's
that
a lot
time,
of
it
things.
was just a lot of fun, pretty funny.
Yeah. That's a lot of things ranching. Yeah. So, what about after Tongue River?
Went to Swinson's.
Mm-hmm.
Worked for Voss there. I went to Taylor Camp.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Because by now, Sammy's a teacher. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, the kids are in school, and she stayed on with them till they went. I was extremely blessed with that, too. She was able to stay home and raise the kids, and when they went to school, she got a job at the school, so she just went with them.
The breadwinner.
Yep. Behind every successful rancher is a wife that's got a job in town. Yeah. So, she went to school there, and I don't know. She followed me around, and she's a big blessing. And I don't know how she put up with me, and I don't know how she did it. We went and looked at that house, and it wasn't much of a house there at Taylor Camp, and it's like 30 miles for her to drive to school every day. So one way. So luckily the school gave her a bus or a Suburban to drive back and forth. She picked up a couple kids on the way, back and forth. So
right.
I guess they justified it that way. And then with
kind of
my
like
3 boys.
Washing your truck in town kind of deal.
Kind of one of them deals. And, but man,
So what year is this?
Probably 9 or 10.
So The Office had come out.
Maybe 10.
Are you watching it yet at
I'm
this
not
point?
watching it
okay.
yet.
Okay. Yeah,
No.
so that came later.
Yeah.
That was like that was my favorite part of the wagon when Stoney was there. We were always sharing Office quotes with each other.
Yeah, best movie or best series ever.
Yeah.
If you don't watch The Office, you should.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, so you got that camp instead of Mark because she's teaching. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We went there, me and Mark went there pretty close same time. I mean, like within a week of each other. Mm. So he's trying to figure things out, and I'm trying to figure things out. I called him one day, or he called me once we got moved in. He said, what are you doing? I said, I am. Have you ever been out there? It's just solid cactus.
Just drove through. I've heard that. I've not ever.
It's miserable to trot around and horses are just jumping and lunging all the time. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I am trying to find a road to get back on it, because if I can find a road, I'm going home. I'm sick of this prowling. I'm riding this jumping son of a buck all morning." He started laughing. He said, "I'm doing the same thing." He said, "I'm in a little bitty cow or trail. I don't even know if it's a cow trail, but I'm trying to get back to a road, and then I'm done."
Yeah.
But
like quitting?
No, just
for the day.
riding for the day, or prowling right there, because it's just a constant jumping all the time. But
yeah, especially when you don't see it coming.
Yeah, when you're trying to look around and see your country,
annoying.
and then they're just jumping constantly, and you're like, "Oh crap! I can't do anything but watch the ground because I'm trying to stay out of these cactus."
Do them horses get tougher to them getting pricked by them cactuses, or is that their little cannon bones always just stay raw?
Their hairline, like where their the hair on where their hoof comes up and hits their hairline.
Yeah.
Them old horses that had been there, it'd just be like a big old calloused hump there.
Oh, really?
From where them cacks had been going in there for years, and it looked like you laid your finger across their hairline. That's just a big old.
So it would kind of like harden up a little, but I'm sure it probably still hurt.
I'm sure it did. I hated riding anything that I liked around, and some of those pastures I'd make sure I didn't, whatever I was riding, didn't think much of, because I just felt sorry for them, riding them in that all the time.
Is it still that way out there, or did they spray it?
I'm sure it's still that way. I don't know. I hadn't been.
I know they sold or whatever. I sprayed my cactus here on my place. It took it, and the guy told me, he's like, it takes a long time to kill it, but it was like 2.5 years.
Oh, really?
But after 2.5 years, I mean, you can't tell there's ever even been a cactus there. It slowly just dissolves the whole cactus. It was weird. It's the weirdest thing.
I think they were talking about doing some spraying, and they'd grubbed that ranch a couple of times over the years, and in 20 or 30 years, and I think grubbing it, and everywhere one of them pads break off and lay somewhere else, it'll just grow another one. So it was on them dozer tracks or loader tracks, and they were just spreading it.
Yeah.
And then trying to rake that brush up, and I don't know. They spread the cactus about like they did the mesquites, I think. It was tough.
That is tough.
It was.
How similar was it to Tongue River as far as the operation?
Pretty similar.
Yeah.
Pretty similar. But that's the first time I'd been around. Dennis Braden was managing it, and Brooks Hodges was assistant, and they wound up leasing the grass to Pete Bonds. So we had like outside cattle come in. That's the first time I'd ever been around that. Like sale barn cows coming in, and that was a deal in itself. That first spring we had to use them little ear notchers on the calves and put it in a test tube and send it off, see if they had BVD, and then put a ear tag in the calf and with a number to that test tube, and then if it come back positive, we had to pair that calf up to that cow and pin them both, and then test the cow, see if she had it.
Wow.
It was a lot of.
So did you do that when you flanked them, or did you have to run them through a chute? Or
no, we did all the tagging and the ear notching when we flanked. When
so guys got to hold them there for that much longer.
Mark had it working pretty smooth, so it didn't. There was another guy there, Paxton Ramsey, I think he was tending to all the test tube stuff, and he had it all kind of.
Yeah, I guess if you got a guy right there, you could just hand him the tube, and then he just writes. Yeah,
they just snip it and put it in there, and he would write the numbers. I was just the tag, and it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but.
I'm picturing it like just whoever, like you swap around the needles, for somebody, like whoever's not flanking, they'll give the shots, like whoever's not flanking, just passing around a Sharpie to a bunch of cowboys. But if you got one guy doing that, makes a lot more sense.
Mark designated him to do that, so if anything got messed up, it was on him. But and he worked for Pete, and And we really didn't understand what was going on anyway. So Mark's like, yeah, these guys will flank you. Just tend to that part of it, the numbers part of it.
Uh-huh.
But Mark had it all running really smooth. He was really good at running a crew.
I guess if you are getting them out of that sale barn, that is something that could take off like wildfire without you knowing it. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, yeah, it
was crazy. Yeah.
So that was that was one big difference.
That's one big. And then we that lease that Mark was talking about crossing that river, Swinson, he left Spires and thought he was getting away from that lease, and then Brooks leased it back. So he had it again. He hated that place.
Yeah, that's funny.
Dad, I think it was in 11 maybe, had a big fire over there. I think I went in.
That was the year it was dry.
And I thought the world was on fire. There was fires everywhere, and that's another good story there. Mark might have been trying to kill everybody at that lease, but we went over there. That river made a kind of a horseshoe in there, and them cows could get up in there and they'd get trapped. And so we were prowling around there checking on stuff while the parts of that ranch was on fire, and we were just going over there during the day and doing what we could to throw cows around, trying to keep them out of the fire. And these cows got hung up in this river bottom, so we slipped in there and knocked them out. And when we got them out of that river, we turned around, trot back, and that wind shifted and that fire come over the top of us, or coming at us, and we were trying to get out of there, but Mark was leading us. As me and Mark, my dad, and Carol Jack Lewis. And we were as close as me and you, but we couldn't see each other. I mean, it was probably around noon, but it was dark as night. That cloud, that smoke got over the top of us. And we were just running head to tail and hollering because we couldn't see each other. And we were just, I was just praying that Mark could get us somewhere, because we didn't have a clue where we were at. And Mark was the only one that really knew the lease.
Uh-huh.
So if one of us had been out front, we'd just been running circles. Anyway, Mark got us across. I mean, I was to the point, it was getting hard to breathe, and it was really hot. And I was thinking, if we could just get off and lay in this river, at least that water will kind of, maybe our horses are done, but maybe we'll survive. And then all of a sudden we topped out, and I mean, it just got clear and
opened up.
It opened up. We were out. That's probably another miracle that God done for us, but I know it is. But that was a crazy time. Probably not too far from where Mark and Cody were trying to cross. That river that lease was a bad little deal.
Dang, that's touch and go.
Yeah.
I've never had to deal with fires.
Man, I don't I don't mind burning some little stuff, but those big ones now, they make me nervous.
I went up to Dixon Creek and helped them move some cows around after their big fire. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Dusty was saying in the wintertime, that place is like just a big old ranch of kindling if you don't get any rain.
It really is. It's got so much grass that when it gets dry, it's just the smallest spark from them highline wires or something.
What caused that last fire? Did they ever find out? Wasn't it a house or something on the edge of town?
I don't remember if I ever heard.
How did you enjoy your time at Swinson's?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I really liked working for Mark, and Dennis was good. Brooks was good. They left me alone, just let me tend to that deal, and we had a good time over there. Matter of fact, Brooks called me one time. He's like, "We done?" I said, "Oh, just feeding." He said, "Well, I hadn't heard from you in a while. Just about a month or so. Seen a guy in town, asked me if you were still out there." I said, "Well, I don't know. I better call and see." I said, "Yes, sir. I'm still here." He said, "I guess if you need something, call." I said, "Oh, I will. If I need something or that check don't show up, I'll call." Other than that, I'm good.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the way he was. He was good to me. He left me alone and just if I needed something, I'd call him. If he needed something, we'd call and we'd get together. But other than that, we just went at it and just ranched.
That is one thing that's pretty cool about having a camp job. It's not like the job description has changed much over the years.
Mm-mm. You just got to tend to it.
Yeah, you just got to do the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where'd you go? How long were you at Swinson's?
Just a little over a year.
Yeah.
Brooks got hired on as manager to Pitchforks, and
he stole you.
Called me to come over there and interview for that job.
Nice.
So I went there, and 11 or 12, maybe 12, something like that.
Was Bob the manager when previous to
Ron
Brooks?
Lane? Ron Lane was
okay.
manager.
Gotcha.
He went after Bob retired, and then I think he was there 2 or 3 years maybe. And
Gotcha.
Then Brooks.
Gotcha. How was that? Is that where was Gringo there?
No, I worked with Gringo at Swinson's though. He was there for a small time.
I thought y'all were buddies from the Pitchfork.
Well, that's the first time I'd worked with him, and I kind of knew he was, but first time I'd got to work with Gringo was at Swinson's, and got to know him good then. And then
y'all got a pretty similar sense of humor.
Yeah, we fit pretty good.
Does he watch The Office?
You know, I don't know. I feel bad for not knowing that.
If he doesn't, he oughta.
He should. Dang, I can't remember now if he does or not. But I guess after I hired him there at South Camp after I was there for a year or so, he was leaving. I think
you were the wagon boss at Pitchfork.
Pitchfork's at Wagon Boss, yeah. And he had been at Wagner's, went back to Wagner's, and then he was wanting to go somewhere else. So, or I don't know if he's wanting to. I asked him if he wanted to come there, but yes, sir.
How long were you wagon boss?
I think right around 5 years. I kind of have a 5-year itch.
Right.
5 years, and then I need to go somewhere else.
Well, it sounds like people entice you to go somewhere else. Seems like,
and that's kind of what everybody makes fun of it, but you know, if I always went for a better deal, I thought, or better for my family, and either
and somebody's selling it to you,
promotion or something. Yeah. So yeah, I went to go for a better deal, but it was good. I had a lot of good times there. Brooks was good to me, and we had a lot of fun at Pitchforks.
So, what did that country compare to them other ones? I mean, is it not just a little bit rougher?
It is. It is. That south end of that thing is really rough, especially the southwest corners of it over there.
Is that what would back up to Croton at Guthrie at the Sixes?
The east side would have.
Yeah.
But it gets.
But I mean, is that where it's rough, or it gets rougher?
It gets
if you
rougher
go back
the further
south?
west,
really?
South and west you go. Yeah.
Dang.
They got some pastures back there. J2, east and west J2, and Dark Canyon, Devil's Playground, Barge AG. They're all really rough. That was all that Red Hills country. Some of it was West Camp too.
Where's the little deal they filmed at? That little house on the side of a hill or something?
A little
dugout?
Mm-hmm. Batch camp is what they called it.
Was it?
Yeah. It's that.
Yeah, what's that movie
I can't remember.
they filmed out there? Gosh dang, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'll think about it tonight when I'm laying in bed. But they filmed a movie out there where...
Yeah, I remember them doing that. You know, in Wyman, Minzer stayed a long times out there hunting coyotes, and it's got a big... It's pretty neat. He's got all his stuff wrote out, and time he spent out there hunting trapping coyotes and bobcats and stuff.
Yeah, somebody...
Pretty cool.
Wakefield or somebody was saying he'd be a good one to have on the podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
He used to go out there and just keep that thing up, you know, and mow around
the dugout.
Yeah. Like he spent a lot of time out there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it one day. listening to my dad talk about it. He also talked about killing a lot of coyotes out there. I guess that was back when they were buying pelts and it was a little more. You could actually make some money doing that.
You bet.
Total Feeds is what keeps the herd powered here at Radiator Ranch, and Total Equine is what I've been giving Boone for 10 years. He's 24 years old and still going strong. You can get it on Chewy.com or a dealer near you. RodeoTime.com is the only website that should exist because it's the greatest apparel line that has ever existed. So go there now to get a t-shirt, a hoodie, a cap, a vest, whatever it is you need. Go to RodeoTime.com, old son. Did you do any coyote hunting out there?
Not there. I did whenever I went to Dixon Creek. I found out they were selling some in Borger, or buying some, and we got to shooting some up there, but bring $15, $20 for. You didn't have to skin them, those. You could just freeze them and take the whole dog. So. Oh man. Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at skinning anything. Not much of a hunter either, but.
Right.
Talking about that country being rough over there. There's where Voss was talking about being a Croton camp. That's probably one of the neatest camps on the whole place, but they made it a hunting camp. But anyway, there's a trap right there close to them Croton camp pens. They call it Navajo Trap. My dad was going to come help us for a few days anyway. I was telling him, he's like, what do I need to ride tomorrow? I said, oh, whatever. And he's like, I got a 3-year-old colt. He don't know a whole lot. I said, oh, it'll be fine. It's just a 2 or 3 section trap there. We're just going to throw them things up and move them. And we got through gathering that thing, and he come back over there, and he's like, 2 or 3 sections. He said, I haven't went level yet. It's just been up and down. If you iron this out, it'd be 10,000 acres. He said, I was done after about 30 minutes of climbing up and down. This little colt is done. I was like, well,
I didn't think of that. What was it like switching to a management position? I mean, wasn't that your first time to?
It was. It was hard for me, or I say that. I had some good guys and got to hire some really good guys that didn't need much managing. I was just able to fall in and work with them. And we got to clean that ranch up and get it all kind of, luckily half of it had burned off right before I got there. So we sold a lot of cows, and all that rough country burned. You know, that Pitchforks is like 180,000 acres, and like 80,000 of it burned or something.
Golly.
Like that. And
what time of year?
I guess it was right before in the springtime, I guess.
Because, I mean, would it not come back? I guess they didn't have anywhere to send them cows for the time being.
It was right there in that drought.
Oh, so it wasn't raining anyway. So it wasn't
without
come
rain
back.
on it.
Yeah, dang. So
Brooks,
it burned and then
I
just
went over
sat
there
there
to talk to Brooks, and we went and drove through some. I was like, man, y'all are 5 or 6 years from getting any cows back here. You don't need to hire me.
Right.
Y'all just need to, buckle down and try to make it on what you got. And he said, they told me to hire somebody. I was like, okay. But luckily that first fall, I was there. I went there, I guess, right after. It might have been the end of, I guess it was in the spring. Because that whole summer we didn't have it might have burned off that fall before. I can't remember now when it was, but that whole summer we never had a drop of rain on it until the fall. And I went there, through the fall either, or winter, because I went there right at the end of that fall, and we didn't have any rain on it, and it started raining like right after the first of the year. And in March or April, right in there, it started raining. And we were able to put cows back in there that next summer after we got it fenced.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. We got to sell we had to sell like 500 cows off. And so we started with them old soured out things and hard together. We shipped all them and worked our way down. And I think they sent 300 up to South Dakota. That was a experience in itself. I never been anywhere else other than Texas, but had to go up there and help them work them cows in South Dakota. They with on a reservation with some Indians. So they done it a little different.
How did they do it?
So, you know how we trot in a jig line and drop everybody off. And so we kind of start out that way, and the guy that's in charge is there, and me and Pat Butler are the, I guess, representatives for Pitchfork there. And so we're trotting along behind this guy, and they just kind of start flaking out and behind us. And so we keep going. And I said, hey, Charlie, you know, I don't know how y'all do it here, but where we're from, we don't drop off unless you tell us. Like, you'll have to tell us, go here, or call our name out, and we'll go. And he said, oh, yeah, that's how we do it here. And I look back, and Pat's the only other one behind me. Like 6 guys had already dropped off. I was like, I don't think that's how you do it here.
That's not how they do it.
No, but he never dropped us off. He just took us all the way. So
That's hilarious.
I don't know what, but anyway,
That's funny.
It was just things like that. It was, we got around over there, and we were kind of cleaning out this little place, and we got to that corner, and he goes, oh crap, I forgot there's no gate here. And it was just a 3-wire fence. So he just gets off and stomps it down, and we step over it like a hot wire. I was like, oh my gosh, there ain't going to be a pitchfork cow left in this state if the fences are like this. We can't keep them in 5-wire fences at home.
Right.
But, well, we got them, and I guess got the biggest part of them. There was still.
Did you get to brand with them?
We got to wean. I don't remember now what the deal was. We didn't get to go in the spring. We made a couple of trips back and forth. We had to haul some bulls up to them and then bring them back, and then they did their branding their way, and then I went with them in the fall when we weaned and brought the cows back to Texas. But that's another. You know Pat Butler.
Uh-huh.
He probably wouldn't talk, but he'd be a good one to get on here if he would talk. But me and him would go ride together up there and back. It's like 15 hours. And we got done weaning, and it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And they don't do much very fast there in South Dakota. And so we were sitting around there, and I was like, well, Charlie, is that it? What else we got? And he's like, that's it. We're done. He said, y'all get your stuff, and y'all can hang out this evening and pull out in the morning. I looked at Pat, and he's like, I'm ready to go to Texas. I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yep, let's go. I'm sick of it. I'm ready to get home. I'm done. We ain't been there but 3 days or something. And he's like, I'm ready to go. I was all right. So we load up and we leave. I told him when we left, I said, we'll just each drive out a tank of diesel and sleep, and when we fill up, we'll swap drivers. So I start out, and I drive my tank out, and I don't remember. It's time we get leaving, it's 7 or 8 o'clock. Time I drive my diesel out, maybe 10. I don't remember. No, it's 7 or 8. So tell Pat, all right, it's your turn. Kind of wake him up because he's already went to sleep, and he gets over there, and I'm trying to go to sleep. You know, if I hear that buzzing, somebody getting off the road, I'm awake. I'm not very good sleeping in the pickup, but he done that a time or two, and I was like, Bud, you all right? So I just don't think I can drive much longer. We're like 45 minutes into his turn. Like, I just don't. He got him a Red Bull and all kinds of stuff. I just don't think I can drive much longer. I'm tired. I was like, all right, pull it over. So I thought, well, you can sleep this time and take the next shift. We drive the next diesel out, and I can get over. He barely opens his eyes and looks over, and he says, I just don't think I can do it. I'm like, Bud. So we get in and go, and the next time I get diesel, he don't even pick his head up. And we pull across that cattle guard in Pitchforks like at 5:30, 5:45 that morning, and we drove, all night, and had our horses in the trailer, and we drove across that cattle guard, and he finally wakes up, and he said, maybe it was about 6, I don't remember. He said, man, I can't wait to go get in my bed. And I said, you'll get in your bed? Heck, you're going to work. I'm going to sleep. You've slept for 15 hours. Yeah. You go to work.
Oh, man. What's he say on Dumb and Dumber? Some people just weren't cut out for life on the road.
For sure. For sure.
Dang, Pat. Yeah, he's going to have to defend himself one day, but it doesn't sound like he's going to have much of a case.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. Driving and riding in the road, not the best.
Yeah.
Especially at night, but it's fun everywhere else.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. Especially obviously since it was his idea. He's like, no, we got to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Yeah, chomping at the bit to go.
I make that deal with like these interns or something because any more these days, I'm like, hey, let's spend a little money and get a hotel room, like I'm all right. I ain't got to get back. And sometimes we'll be leaving a booth. That's when I don't like asking them to drive through the night if I got them there working a booth, but sometimes they're ready to get back. And I was like, that's okay with me. You got the late shift?
You're gonna drive.
I got let's clear this up first. Yeah. But dang. So how was Wakefield there? No, that would have been no, he was there before.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you ever work around him?
I did. I was trying to think. I don't remember if he helped us a couple of days or just showed up there one day and helped us. I don't remember. But I got to work with him at Swinson's. And Mark had him to come help us one spring, or maybe spring and fall.
That's probably good because as a wagon boss, he seems like someone might be hard to manage.
Yeah.
Probably easier to just work alongside.
He's definitely, he's good. When the bunch of guys that were there, him and Keeler and Waylon, they kept things plenty entertaining.
Oh, Waylon was at Swinson's?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Him and Reese and I think those were the day workers that came.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of entertainment there.
Yeah.
Between those guys, they were always doing something. Foot racing or trading horses.
Waylon's one of the ones that keeps ghosting me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Try to get him to jump on the podcast. Waylon won't, and then Bones had no-showed me once, and then ghosted me.
Yeah, those would be good ones.
Kelby was supposed to come on yesterday. He said he got sick.
I
actually told him not to come here.
Yeah.
He sounded sick.
Don't want to get sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
So, what was after Pitchfork?
It's when I went to Dixon Creek.
That's when you got the call. Because, I guess, Bubba was there.
Bubba was there. He had been trying to get me to come up there ever since he left Tongue River, so I turned him down for like 8 years.
If you were going to leave a place every 5 years, which to me is a long time, I think the best excuse is because all your old bosses keep calling you.
That's pretty good.
That's it. You know what I mean? It's like a pretty good.
Yeah. And maybe that's pretty good, I guess, or maybe that means you can't work for anybody else, but just a handful of people.
It sounds like you're just following your bosses.
Yeah. If they would do better, I could do better. See, yeah. If they keep moving up, I keep moving up.
What does he say? Attitude reflects leadership, Captain. On what is that? Whatever that movie is. Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans.
So then you're at DC.
Dixon Creek.
Pretty good while.
5 years. I mean, I've got a record for sure. Just like right at it. Yeah. We, of course, Bub left me again after about a year and a half. So I filled in there for about 6 to 7 months. So then again. So yeah, I've tried to be a manager twice. It just didn't work out.
Is that when Dusty came in?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wagon boss is like the top of the line for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing, no more. That's all I got.
Yeah. Dang, that's where you met the infamous Dale Brisby.
That's him. Yep. Yeah, I remember you were there, and of course, I didn't do the social media or anything, but the boys were like, "Hey, that's Dale Brisby. You know him?" I'm like, "No, I've heard he was coming, but I don't know who he was." And they were like, "Yeah, that's him. We need to go meet him." I said, "Well, go meet him. He's gonna be here." Yeah, go. Yeah, no, you were good at it. They got a kick out of that.
Yeah, forget about that detail. That'd be another pretty good reason why I feel like your bosses are calling. You got 3 big old boys, all handy with horses and ropes, ready to go to work with you.
They were.
But they got paid. They got paid by that time, so they were
some
day worker. Oh, I guess they probably had to sneak in.
Yeah, I guess they went all the time, so it was kind of hard to pay them, I guess, daily. But whenever they did, a lot of times they would try to pay them when they went and helped us with the crew. Crap, they went with me nearly every day, all day.
Yeah, I guess the ranch would scratch their head at this one camper or wagon boss even having 3 day workers with him all the time.
Yeah. It was great for me. I got a lot of my horses rode.
I was about to say, did you pawn off your horse training on them?
I did. They could ride them and put the miles on them, and they were still pretty young and getting them flexing and pulling around, and then I could get on there and stir them up and then send them back to them and let them slow them back down. So we had a good system.
What's the age difference?
The twins, Cooper and Cutter, and then Cason's 2 years younger. The twins were born in 2000 and Cason's 2002.
But Cason's bigger than both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the bull, he got big. My wife's side of the family is big guys, football players and TCU football players. So they're all big guys.
What are Cason and Cutter doing now? I know Cooper's. Doesn't he have a gig?
Yeah, he's up at Botches, Vega. And Cutter just took a job to be like an ag loan officer.
Oh, cool.
Monday at the bank. He kind of likes that deal, or likes to. I think he's going to like doing that. He's going into it, but that's kind of why when he heard about it in school, he started leaning that way to do that. And Cason's 3 or 4 months into diesel mechanic school there outside of Houston. He went into that whenever he...
Diesel mechanic schools go for 34 months?
Pretty close. Pretty close. 3 to 4 months into diesel mechanic.
I will dig a buried horse up to beat it again. I love to beat a dead horse.
Yeah, when they were younger, talking about that, having 3 guys, me and those 3 boys cleaned off that camp at Taylor Camp at Swinson's. We gathered every cow on that. Well, I say everything, but about 4 cows on that thing that we couldn't get.
4 got away. They knew the cactus better than you did.
They did. But we moved a bunch of that camp around, just me and them boys. We had a big time.
Man,
they could. Most of them, I got more done with them than I could with most of the crew, but we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're like little slaves, of course.
Yeah.
You got 3 cowboy punchy slaves is what you had.
It worked out great. I mean, it was a great time for me. That's probably why I got the jobs I got. They really didn't want me. They wanted the boys that came with me.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, Bubba's like,
them.
Man, if I get Stoney, then that's 4 men.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's got to be a factor that guys think about. I mean, I'm not saying it would be, but it's worth considering. Like I
guarantee you that's what Bubba's thinking.
Yeah.
He's always thinking about how he can get the most out of it. So,
right.
Yeah, he was thinking that for sure. He used to always tease him about quitting school and just going to work for him when they were, like 5, 6, from kindergarten. He's like, oh, y'all have learned enough. You kind of can write your name a little bit and read a little bit. That's all you need to know. I can teach you the rest. Yeah. Y'all can move over in the bunkhouse. We'll be perfect. We're having a hard time getting them to go to school anyway, so that never helped.
Did y'all neighbor with Guthrie a lot back then?
Not then. The second time I went to Tongue River, we did.
I meant Dixon Creek.
Oh, the first year, or didn't then.
Gotcha.
And then we started. I guess we started right, maybe about a year after I got there. Going back and forth. I think they might have a little bit, but we started doing it like ever works then.
So when you left Dixon Creek, you kind of got away from camp type job, wagon boss type job. Was that just brutal on you? Drive you crazy?
No, not really. I'd kind of, I don't know. I guess just having all that responsibility and stuff I was okay with. Of course, the job I went to go, down around Houston, the job I went for was a very small ranch to take care of. It's kind of a one-man deal. And then
there you go. You're the manager. You got your management position.
I guess I did. I didn't even realize it, but I guess I did. Didn't work out very good. I only stayed for 4 years that time, so I didn't even make the full 5. But of course, we were supposed to do some horse stuff and train some rope horses and things like that, but it just never did take off. So wound up moving back.
Yeah.
Had a grandbaby and wanted to get back closer to that.
Which one had a kid?
Cooper.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he did get married, didn't he?
Got married.
I forgot about that.
Yep. Him and Shayna had a little girl.
I heard about
Lucy.
it. I never got an invite, Cooper. So we've day worked together twice. I really thought we had a little something there, but apparently not.
Probably got lost in the mail, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet that's what it was.
It's usually, those weddings are usually all the wives' friends because the guys just never send their invites.
Oh, yeah. No, you should have showed up.
That's a lot to be responsible for.
For sure.
They send out a text the week before.
Yeah. Just come on. Yeah.
I did post a video of him trick roping and got a lot of "is he single" messages.
Oh, really?
After that, and a few of which I had to hey, calm down. He's only, because I think at the time he was 18.
Yeah, he was
just
young.
Yeah, it's calm down. And anyway, I wonder if that's where he met his now wife. I bet it is.
Could have been.
I bet it is. You're welcome, Cooper.
Yeah.
So, what's the goal now? Get back to a ranch?
Well, hopefully just working for myself. I got riding some of my own horses, and got some pretty good horses coming up, and ride a few colts maybe, but I got some grass leased outside of Guthrie, turning yearlings out on that. So hopefully keep that going.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta try to keep finding some grass leases and just kind of keep turning some stuff out, and maybe hopefully it works out and they work a few hopefully enough that I can kind of pick and choose where I want to go and not have to go, but
right.
That's the plan.
Where are you living?
In Ashburn right now.
Okay, gotcha.
We're gonna build a house out on my dad's place.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. He still live on that same place that you grew up on?
He does.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that from him, and just so he'll slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that'll happen, but that's the plan.
Right.
Try to slow him down and build us a place there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Dang. Yeah, I need to ask him how he knew my dad. We're trying to do all the math here on just by my memory. I'm sure he probably remembers. Yeah.
Yeah, he would know. Because I guess whenever he saw one of your YouTubes or something, and he was like, "Who is that guy?" And I was like, "Well," I said, "I think you rodeoed with his dad, I think, Coke Hopkins." And he's like, "Yeah, I know him." That's his dad? I was like, yeah. He said, "I'll be darned. I didn't." He said, "Of course, them boys were small whenever I knew him, but he said, I knew he had some sons."
Right.
And, but yeah, I think he knew him pretty good.
Nice. Yeah. Strapping young men is what he had, right, Donnie?
That's it.
Cowboys. One at least. One of the other two. One of the two. Huh. Well, are you going to have time to go to any spring works this year with the yearlings?
I am. Yeah, hopefully they will be straight by then. Gonna go help Gringo. They're 6s.
Oh, cool.
Guthrie. Yes, sir, for sure. Dusty said he was going to get his dates and We'll see if I can make that one too.
He's always behind.
I hope it's not the same time as Guthrie, but it may be. Yeah. I don't know if they overlap, but
he's always behind on getting dates to people. Cool. Well, I appreciate the conversation. We normally wrap these up with life advice. But I heard Kevin had a good one yesterday before life advice. What's your most embarrassing moment? Maybe ranching, I guess.
Most embarrassing.
It's kind of a deep track question.
It is. I know. I guess when maybe I don't know if this is the most embarrassing one that sticks out right here on the spot, but we were I just got the wagon boss job, first time a wagon boss at Pitchforks, and we were branding a little set of deal there at the feedlot, and my horse, I was riding a 3-year-old, and of course I was tied on, and I caught him, and anyway, something boogered, and he'd done something anyway. He turned back into that rope, and it drug me off right there. I fell off right in front of everybody.
Dang.
Like my third calf to drag, and I was the wagon boss, and I just fell off my horse. And then, so I get on, and I go, and I almost do it the second time. About 3 calves later, he wraps me up in it again, and I was like, if I'd have fell off twice in front, they would have just fired me.
That's hilarious.
This guy can't even ride his horse.
Your first time to drag?
I don't know if it was my first time, but it was the first spring that I was there. But
that's funny.
That was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've done a lot of embarrassing things, but I can't think of.
Yeah, I had a list of 7 or 8. Not 78.
Not 78.
Not for me, for you, embarrassing moments. I wrote them down in my diary.
There's probably more than 78.
What about life advice? What sticks out to you? Maybe a one-liner.
A one-liner. I like to go with, I think it goes good for everybody, but what is it? Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do wholeheartedly is working for the Lord and not for men.
As if working for the Lord.
Yeah.
Dang.
Because especially like a cowboy deal, you're on your own. I mean, there's nobody looking over your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to work, and you work hard every day. But the only person that can see you every day is the Lord. So
yeah,
that's what I've tried to tell my boys and try to do and show them. But I just work every day that hard.
That's a really good perspective, especially for a camp man. And I thought about that verse in that context. Yeah, because if the Lord watches you every day, but like you said, Brooks hadn't talked to you in a month.
Yeah.
At Swinson's that time.
It was, that's the way I always looked at it. That's the way I was raised, and that's what, I didn't know that verse at the time, or that's what my dad was trying to teach me, but that's what he taught me. And whenever I read that verse, I was like, man, that's it. That's what you're supposed to do.
Dang.
So.
Man, your dad sounds pretty instrumental in all of it, cowboying and being a man.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I appreciate you coming on to the podcast. It's been fun. Hopefully I get to see you sometime this spring or fall or something.
Maybe we'll
cross paths
again.
Yeah. Dale of a deal. Everybody check out rodeotime.com for your apparel needs. You cannot get this hat on there. But, Ranch Fuel.
Ranch Fuel.
Yeah, code Dale on ranchfuel.com for 15% off. And we are on to the next one. Is that all right with you, Donnie? No need to suit me, Dale.